Real bassists use fingers, not picks.
Real bassists don't use pick.
Throw away your picks and learn how to use your fingers. The flash of fingers gives a better sound.
Drop the pick! Play with your fingers!
Pick bass players are terrible people.
Yes, the age-old pick versus fingers mess. I too was once suspicious of these strange plasticky devices. I'm gonna walk you through my journey from pick hater to seeing the light. I'll explain why you might want to use a pick or not, and how to get started playing with one.
Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up!
I started playing bass at age 13, and for many years I thought playing with fingers was better than using a pick. I didn't like the clicky tone, then I thought using a pick was a crutch for people who couldn't play with fingers. But at some point my brain realized that if using a pick means you're not legit, somebody better tell Paul McCartney, Harold Kay, Anthony Jackson, Bobby Vega, Sting, Peter Hook, Chris Squire, Steve Swallow, John Deacon, Noel Redding, Jason Newsted, David Ellison, Matt Freeman, Justin Chancellor, Tim Lefebvre. So why do we even have this myth if bass legends like Carol Kay and Paul McCartney have been playing bass with a pick since before many of us were even born? Here are 3 possible reasons. 1, when guitar players pick up a bass and pretend that they can play it, they usually use a pick. So playing fingerstyle is one way we can distinguish ourselves as bass snobs. Pardon me, do you play fingerstyle? 2, it's a little easier to get started with a pick than with fingers. That does not hold true. As you get the basic technique down, they're both challenging to master. But because picks are easier on day 1, fingerstyle players can be snobby about it. And 3, we tend to take on an identity. I am a pick player or I am a fingerstyle player, rather than I'm a bass player who uses whatever technique is needed for the song. So as I got older and ever so slightly more mature, I started to realize the huge benefit of playing with a pick, getting different tones out of your bass. Bass tone, the actual sound of the bass, is super important because it changes how songs feel. Pro bass players think about tone a lot, and in general, a pick will give you a brighter tone than using your fingers. A pick also gives you bigger transients. A transient is the big spike in volume when you first start a note. And if you look at the waveform of some finger plucked notes, you can see there's a pretty mellow drop in volume after the initial pluck. But if I play those same notes with a pick, there's a bigger spike right when I pick the note, which drops down more dramatically. This gives you more of a percussive snap to your notes, which is why a pick can help the bass cut through the mix of drums and guitars. So pick tone is generally more bright and snappy, but you can get a ton of different tones from a pick. It's not just for like rock and metal. As you and I know, Paul McCartney got a lot of great non-aggressive tones using a pick. Or Tim Lefebvre's nice dark clicky tone on Lazarus from Bowie's Black Star album. And Steve Swallow's upright bassy tone using a copper pick in a jazz setting. Different strings, pickup, EQ, palm muting is all going to give you really different pick tones. Here's just a small sampling. Another reason you might hear picks are useful is for speed. Picks can make playing fast easier, but most people don't actually need that level of speed. And plenty of insanely fast bass players use their fingers, like Alex Webster, Adrian Farode, all these dudes. So yeah, the sounds you can get from a pick are super, super cool. I love it, but if you're a beginner, I still recommend you learn to pluck with your fingers first. If you start with the pick, it can kind of mess with your commitment to learning to alternating pluck with your index and middle fingers. And I've had students who've been playing with a pick only for years, and they really struggle to learn fingerstyle. That's why I put strong emphasis on learning alternating plucking first in my Beginner to Badass course, so you have a super solid foundation before you start adding in other techniques. There are a bunch of types of picks. I've kind of cycled through which one is my favorite over the years, but there are 3 basic things you need to think about: size, thickness, and material. First, let's talk size. Most picks are this standard size, which is the same that most guitar players use. There are also tiny little jazz picks, which I'll leave for the guitarists. And then you've got big triangle picks, which give you more to hold on to. I found the big triangles really useful when I was first learning because it helped me not drop the pick like a dummy as much. Second, let's talk thickness or gauge. Thin picks are more flexible, so they glide off the string more easily. And this can also be useful for beginners first learning to pick because it's harder to get stuck on the string. And because they flex more, you get more like clicky sound from the pick bending. Thicker picks give you a darker, bassier tone, which I prefer for most playing. They're also less flexible, so they respond to the string differently. And third, all the different materials. You got Tortex, you got nylon, you got felt, wood, metal, credit cards. They all hit the string differently and change your tone. If you don't know where to start, just grab a variety pack and see how they all feel. If you're dropping the pick a lot, maybe try a big triangle pick. If you're getting stuck on the string, you can use a thinner pick. And if you don't like the tone, just try out some different materials. All right, how to hold a pick. I really wish I had watched this video some years ago because I've dropped my pick an embarrassing number of times. There are multiple correct ways to hold a pick, but they're all variations on holding it between your thumb and index finger. Here's how I do it. Put your thumb out in front of you like this, then press it into the side of your index finger, either at like a 45-degree angle or tilted more down so the tip of your index is parallel with the thumb. Now hold the pick in your other hand with the tip pointing away from your pick hand and just slide it between your thumb and index finger. Here's a 5-point checklist to make sure you're really nailing that. 1, thumb below the center of the pick, so only a little bit sticks out. 2, tip of your thumb goes past the pick. 3, the side of your index finger presses on the pick, not the pad. 4, wrist straight or slightly bent forward. 5, don't grip it too tight, but also don't drop it. When I was first learning the actual picking motion, I wasn't sure whether to move the pick with my fingers, or my wrists, or my forearm, or my elbow, or my whole arm. Plus, like, what strap length are you supposed to have, and where do you place the pick, and how do you angle it, and how do you attack the string? So I dug into some famous pickers to figure out these 5 components of basic technique. First, what part of the body is the pick motion coming from? Here's Paul McCartney. You can see he's using a lot of side-to-side movement of his wrist to move the pick. Here's Bobby Vega with a very different style that's focused on elbow movement and forearm rotation. And here's Jason Newsted, kind of doing a mix of everything, wrist, elbow, and the whole arm moving at the shoulder. So what I concluded from looking at the pros is that there's not one right way to do it. Depending on what you're playing, what sound you're going for, you might shift between the shoulder, the elbow, the forearm, the wrist, the fingers, or combine them all. And also having multiple options can help keep you from getting fatigued. Second, is there a correct strap length for picking? Here's Carol Kay sitting with the bass above her waist. David Ellefson of Megadeth has it sitting more mid-waist. And Kim Gordon from Sonic Youth has it just below the waist. So apparently you can pick with almost any strap length. Third, where do you place the pick along the string? As I talked about in my producer switch video, where you attack the string has a big impact on your tone, whether you're picking, plucking, or slapping. Closer to the neck is more round and tubular. By the bridge is more sharp and scrapey. Most of the time, somewhere in the middle is good unless you're after a specific tone. Fourth, what direction should the pick actually hit the string? You can either go straight across and back, which works nicely for fast chains of notes, or you can strike more down into the bass and then back up on the upstroke, which is more natural if you're using forearm rotation to play something funky. And finally, fifth, the slice of the pick, meaning is it hitting the string dead on or more angled? Most of the time it's good to hit dead on. With more angle, you get more pick scraping noise, which could be good if you wanted a nastier sound. So I decided I wanted to try picking. I figured out which one to use, how to hold it, how to strike the string, but I still had to figure out what kind of patterns to actually pick bass lines with, whether it was okay to just go down, down, down all the time, or whether I needed to mix in some upstrokes. It turns out there are 3 basic approaches: down picking, alternate picking, and economy picking. It would take way too long to do a detailed lesson on all of them, so I'm just gonna explain what they are and how you can get started. First up, down picking, which just means doing only downstrokes. This is the simplest way to start because you never have to decide what to do. It also gives a consistency of attack, which is nice for driving a song hard, which I talk about more in my karaoke bassists video. The main thing to watch out for when down picking is when you're crossing strings. You don't want to change the angle of your hand to the bass like this. You want to actually move your whole arm up and down like this. Then just put on a Ramones record and down pick your way to heaven. The second approach is alternate picking, which combines downstrokes with upstrokes. This gives you more speed potential, just like 2-finger plucking gives you more speed than 1 finger. You also get more uneven lilt because the downstrokes will naturally be stronger than the upstrokes. But this is a great technique to use if you want to play super fast notes on a single string, or if you're just doing some casual picking that doesn't need to drive hard like down picking. Scales are a great way to practice alternate picking. Just play any scale you know, here's a G minor scale, and just do down, up on each note. And last up, economy picking. Economy picking is the same as alternate picking when you're on a single string, but when you cross strings, you will combine multiple downstrokes or upstrokes whenever you can for more efficiency. Like if you down pick on the E string, your pick is already ready to go on the A string, so you down pick that too, then same on the D, same on the G. This is basically the pick equivalent of fingerstyle raking, which I talk about in my plucking showdown video. Here's a basic exercise you can practice some economy picking with. So there are 3 notes per string, so you start down, up, down on the E string, which sets you up to start the A string on a down as well, and you just repeat down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. And then coming back the other way, we start up, down, up, then repeat the upstroke on the string cross, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Hard, huh? I still kind of suck at it. But practicing economy with simple repeating patterns is a good way to get the coordination so you can start applying it on more complex lines. So now you know that I love the pick, but don't think this means I'm going to stop throwing them off the screen with stupid sound effects. Cat fight, Angel Choir, Hubert, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Stairway to Heaven, Pottery Smash, James Hetfield, The Brady Bunch theme,
Here's the story.
Wilhelm Scream.